Namaskar. In this video, I am present before you to talk about the French existential philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. In the preceding videos, I talked about a brief introduction to existentialism, followed by the small discussion on two important philosophers, Soren Kierkegaard and Martin Heidegger. So today, let us try to talk about existential philosophy as seen, theorized, and conceptualized by Jean Paul Sartre. So, let me begin with a quote of Jean Paul Sartre. This quote is from his book Existentialism and Humanism. And this quote shall enable you to understand more about this philosophy. So, Sartre says, man is nothing else but that which he makes of himself. I think the very first line is hitting at the right point. He makes of himself, that is, his individuality, that is, his personal involvement, that is, a step towards that authentic existence which we have been talking so far. This is the first principle of existentialism, personal, genuine, authentic experience, individual identity. Existence precedes essence. That is what people call as subjectivity, using the word as a reproach against this. For we mean to say that man primarily exists. Remember what Kierkegaard has to say. A man not only lives, he exists. This is what he is reiterating, that man is before all else. The identity, the individuality, the subjectivity, that is to be given the primary importance, not the essence, not the essences in terms of either form or absolute, or in the extended version, what Heidegger talks about in terms of articles and things. Something which propels itself towards a future and is aware that it is doing so. So much of freedom, so much of liberty, so much of faith is given to the individual authentic experience. Man is indeed a project which possesses a subjective life. Instead of being a kind of moss, fungus, or a cauliflower. This is very important, which I talked in my previous talk as well, in terms of living and in terms of existing. A moss lives, a fungus lives, a cauliflower lives. But are the human beings cauliflower, fungus, or moss? Perhaps no. Before that projection of self, nothing exists. I would request you to grab these keywords to make your understanding more clear. He says, not even the heaven of intelligence. Man will only attain existence when he purposes to be. This is, I think, a good beginning while making an attempt to understand, to decipher, and to come in terms with what Jean-Paul Sartre has to say about human beings in terms of existence. So, as I told in the beginning, Jean-Paul Sartre, a French philosopher, and he happens to be one of the most notable philosophers of the last century. He is a prominent existentialist philosopher, and he is chiefly known for his writings like No Exit, which is a play, Nausea, which is a novel, Being and Nothingness, which is a philosophical treatise, and the quote which I did in the previous slide from the book Existentialism and Humanism. Jean Paul Sartre has rather revolutionized the existential philosophy, and I'm going to talk about how did he do this? What are his major concepts? So, in this slide, I have written 3 points, and these 3 points refer to three different levels of existence. And these three levels of existence are very important to understand the core philosophical assumptions of Jean Paul Sartre. So, I hope that you know this term being, human being, or as Heidegger called Dasein. So, the first one is being in itself. Being in itself refers to certain fixities, certain things and articles which have no consciousness of its own. They are fixed, they don't change, they remain static. For example, cooler, AC, refrigerator, table, bed, curtains, walls, and so many other things which we find around ourselves. Let me ask a question. Do these things move? Do they have life? Do they have their consciousness? Aren't they fixed? Aren't they static? Yes, they are fixed, they are static, they don't have their consciousness. That's why they are being in itself. They don't move, they don't act, they don't think. Yes, you might say, sir, computer says, mobile says, laptop says something. Okay, agreed. But the point is, whatever they say, whatever they do, who makes them do this? We, the human beings. We have made laptops, we have made mobile phones, and they follow the command of us. Keep a mobile on the table, don't charge it, don't go for internet connectivity, don't overpack your mobile with videos and pics. Can mobile do all these things on its own? The answer is no. So, if one thinks about mobile or laptop in terms of consciousness, as you know, in these times we are talking about cyborg literature, cybernetics. We are talking about the fusion and the intersection of humanity and the technology. That's a different realm to talk about. But the question is, these beings which are in itself, they cannot act out something on their own. If they do something, something outside is there which asks them, which commands them, which fuels them, which powers them to do something. For example, one more example I would like to share, the example of this duster. This duster is primarily meant to wipe out and to clean the green board or blackboard. But does this duster clean that board on itself? The answer is no. I have to pick it up and I have to make use of it. Otherwise, it will not clean the board on itself. So, being in itself, I hope I'm clear. The second concept, being for itself. And this is our being. This is yours being. This is we the human being, the individual consciousness, which doesn't remain fixed, which has its own awareness, which has its own consciousness, which remains kinetic, which acts out, which moves on, being for itself. But this being for itself too has certain fixities. For example, I am born man. I'm a boy as per my genitals. Yes, I can change that. That can be a different issue biologically, but I cannot change my essentialized aspect that I am a male, not a man, by the way. I am a male, more biologically. I am a Hindu. Perhaps I couldn't change this because I was not given the option to change my religion. It's my fixity. I am born in India. I can't say that I was born in America. No, I can't say this. It's my fixity. But apart from these fixities, being for itself is a moving being, is an acting being, is a kinetic being. This being has its own consciousness. This being is aware of itself. It goes on, it moves on. It is never the same as it was once. Are you the same as you were in your childhood? Am I the same as I was in my childhood? Let us not talk about childhood, it's too far. Are you the same as you were in your graduation days? Aren't you changed? Yes, you are changed. Am I the same before adopting this teaching profession? No, I am not the same. I have evolved. I have grown. I have developed myself. So, being for itself, it's a kind of continuity. I'm not a thing. Being in itself is a thing which is fixed, static. But am I supposed to be fixed? Am I supposed to be static? No, I have a consciousness and I have to make use of that. I cannot remain the same throughout my life. I must not remain the same throughout my life because I have a consciousness, I have a living consciousness which propels me to do better, to be something else. So I'm not a mobile phone, I'm not a laptop, I'm not a table, I'm not a chair, I'm not a fan. I am not a thing. I am a no thing. In a way, I am nothing. Compare and contrast this concept of nothing to that of Martin Heidegger, where he says that life moves between nothingness to nothingness. So Jean-Paul Sartre also says, I am nothing. Nothingness. Very important aspect which you must remember and which you must keep on remembering with the conscious use of your consciousness. You are a human being. We all are human beings. And we need to use that actively. Otherwise, we shall be converted into certain essentialized objects, into ideas, and that's not going to help us further. Being for others, being for others refers to, as Sartre calls it, as we are seen, as one is perceived by somebody else. So, I am Saurabh. I have my own individuality, I have my own consciousness. But it's quite possible to be seen, to be perceived, to be judged, to be commodified by somebody else, to be objectified. That's why Sartre calls it, oh, hell, the other people, because one can't ignore them. One can't get rid of them. Other people are there. They are always there. And they will keep on objectifying. They will keep on judging. They will keep on uh, 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 evaluating us. So, being for others. So, life is not so easy. One cannot remain absolute free. This is what Martin Heidegger said. So one has to exercise one's own individuality, one has to exercise one's own consciousness. At the same time, one must be aware of others as well, because others are there. We're constantly looking, peeping, judging, watching, objectifying. So being for others. So there are three most important concepts of Jean-Paul Sartre: being in itself, being for itself, and being for others. Jean-Paul Sartre also talks about the anguish of freedom. And this is what Sartre says: man is condemned to be free. Because man is thrown into the world, and he himself is responsible for everything he does. The anguish of freedom. So we cannot say that we are not free. We cannot say that I am not free. We can't. I mean, a human being can't say that. Look, I am a table, and anybody can make use of me. No, but this is not so easy. Sartre gives an example of his own student. The student is caught between two affairs of life. The first one is the students' revolution in France, and second one is the duties of him towards his ailing mother. So on the one hand, he has his mother, and on the other, he has his duties as a student as far as the nationalist interests are concerned. So he's caught in this dilemma, and he approaches Sartre, asking his opinion, asking his advice. Sartre doesn't give any advice to him. Rather, he asks him that, look, you are free to choose any of these. If you go to your mother and if you remain little bit suspicious about your uh, non-involvement in certain nationalist interest, that's your choice, that's your responsibility. And if you go for that revolution, and if you don't go to your mother, and if she dies and suppose she gets into further trouble, then again it's your responsibility, it's your choice, because it was your choice. So this freedom is there, but this freedom is not simply freedom. This freedom brings in lots of responsibilities, and these responsibilities bring anguish, the sense of pain, the sense of anguish, the anguish of freedom. So it's not easy that, look, I am a free man. The state of being free also involves several responsibilities, several crossroads, several difficult junctures, disjunctures, decisions which one has to make. One has to choose the choice, one has to go for the responsibilities as well. Choice and responsibility. Man is condemned to be free. This is what Sartre says. The concept of bad faith is another important concept of Jean-Paul Sartre. The concept of bad faith. I mean, just think about your existence. So, you have been born as a girl, you're born as a girl, and being a girl, you have been told, you have been advised, you have been prescribed, you have been imposed, you have been instructed to do some girl like behavior. You have to do this, you have to do that. You don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. So I am, as a boy, as a male, I have my own set of attitudes, set of decorum, set of behavior, set of actions which are imposed on me or which I have been receiving passively. I'm not using my own sense. Look, maybe biologically I'm male, but I can't be simply male. I can be more than a male. So look at this bad faith and look at ourselves and try to understand our life in that way. So whatever we are, whatever we have been doing, thinking, acting, whatever we claim in terms of this is my, this is me, think about it carefully, and you may come out with the revelation that this is bad faith. You are not what you are. Whatever you are made into that. You have been made a girl, you have been made a particular, uh, 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 you have been made to believe certain a particular religious system of beliefs, you know. So just try to think about this, the concept of bad faith. And I would like you to talk about Louis Althusser's concept and his concept of subject formation, his concept of interpellation. How do we become a subject? Do we really become a subject, or we are lifelong an object into this bad faith? So, see, see, these are some important philosophical assumptions of Jean-Paul Sartre. He has written a lot, talked a lot, and it will take hell a lot of time for me to cover those aspects. But as of now, please focus on these concepts and these assumptions so that at least you could be aware of the basic uh, existential assumptions that were practiced, believed, theorized by Jean-Paul Sartre. We shall be considering these assumptions, these philosophical beliefs more in details once we come to the text, the absurdist text, the absurd play, that is Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. So please listen to these videos and try to understand. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Thank you. Thank you so much.